Hey everybody, it's Stuart here and super excited today to have Andrei Florin on the show. Andrei runs the digital marketing agency Elite Exposure, and they are specialists in digital marketing, especially with landing pages, Google ads and Facebook ads for trade businesses. Andrei, welcome to the channel.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you for having me on.
When you look at a lot of websites and landing pages for trade businesses, what are some of the most common mistakes that you see them making when you are doing an initial review?
I'd say the first thing, and this is for people specifically running paid advertising, is that they are using their website instead of a landing page. Using a website is fine and all, but it just gives the user opportunity to leave instead of actually converting into a lead. So when you're running paid ads, you basically want your clicks and your budget to go towards a lead. You don't want it going towards a click when it could very well just be a lead. What we typically find is that industry average is about 5% for a conversion rate, which means 1 in 20 of visitors on your site turn into a lead from paid ads. And the landing pages that we install specifically for trade businesses, we can get it anywhere from 20 to 30%. So that's 1 in 5, even more, turn into a lead.
And if you think about how expensive the cost per clicks are for a lot of trade-based industry keyword, if you just look at New Zealand and Australia and the United States, you might be looking at anywhere from $5 to $30 for a click. So if you're talking about that 5% conversion rate, sometimes have to spend $600 to get a conversion, which can be quite a substantial amount of money. So bringing that conversion rate up, do you find is often the most cost-effective and easiest way to improve people's online performance?
Absolutely. When people run paid ads, they don't realize how much their customer acquisition cost is. By just increasing the conversion rate, even if you went from 5 to 10% of users turning into a lead, you're getting double the leads, and all you did was change the landing page. You didn't spend any more on ads. You halved your customer acquisition cost instead, just by changing a landing page.
When you are crafting a landing page for someone, what are the tools that you're using to build it?
So there's two primary ways of going about this. I strongly prefer WordPress and Elementor. And the reason for that is it's very easy to use and you have a lot more customization in terms of design. So you can use stuff like Squarespace or Weebly or Wix, but it's often very restrictive in design. And I can show some examples later of what you can actually do with this landing page and why it increases conversions just so much better.
Let's say someone like myself comes to you saying, Andre, I need a landing page developed for my business. What's the process that you take the person through from start to finish?
From start to finish, I often have a survey form that basically gives me a lot more information about what they do, what services they offer, what benefits there are to their service, and what unique offering they might have that could be better than their local competition. We basically make a website that convinces people why they should choose you, your business, over the competition. You do that by putting reviews all over the website. You do that by putting up all your great photography of all the past work that you've done. You do that by giving people guarantees, whatever you can.
And probably having a decent amount of ad copy as well that can actually persuade people and sort of guide them into the process of filling in that conversion form. Because if someone was to land on your website, for example, and you would say something like, your landing page is terrible, I'm going to show you how to build a better one, it's probably going to put a lot of people off, as opposed to generate high quality leads for your business that are unique and means that you're not competing with other people for shared leads. Like that sort of ad copy and I guess persuasiveness through the written word is far more likely to guide someone along to the next step, which is could be watching a video or reading some of the testimonials or watching video ones, as opposed to it just being that some landing page company builders make, which is not having their A+ landing page at the forefront of all of their advertising campaigns. I have seen that before. I don't know if you have as well.
Oh, I've seen many things in my experience. We won't go there because we'll be here for hours, but What people often have as a misconception is that just because you're running paid ads doesn't mean you're going to become a millionaire. What people don't realize is when you're running paid ads, 20% is the click. So Google's job, for example, or even Facebook's job is just to sell the idea, and then they will click through to the landing page. Now, the landing page has 80% of the work to do. So they're already convinced they want this thing. Now you need to convince them why they should choose you over someone else.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the challenges I found when I first started working in digital marketing is not appreciating how the website layout can guide someone along the journey of actually filling in the inquiry form. I remember back when I first ran Facebook ads, CPMs were like $2 to $5.
Yeah.
It was just so low. And I was working at this company that did marathon holiday packages, and we just did like boosted posts. Just those boosted posts literally were enough to generate a flood of inquiry. And she like sold out all of her bookings and stuff at New York Marathon, which was one of the biggest ones that she offered. It kind of made me think like, oh, that's quite cool. And the website company that built it, have you heard of Zealed?
I have not. No.
No. At the time, they were like the hot stuff. Like they were like the big players. And I had a lady that was running the Google ads. She was really good as well. That with the Facebook ads boosted posts, like it just put a flurry of inquiry through. And because the website was so good and they had this e-brochure that they could download, like most people by the time they had either visited the page for the particular marathon and downloaded the brochure, they would turn it into an inquiry. And if they were serious, they'd book in a couple of weeks. It just blew my mind how it was this website, because then I went and worked for this other company that had overseas freelancers. I still don't know where they're from to this day. The guy that was running the company never shared who they were. The contact page was just a mess. You couldn't click on the phone number at the time to contact. And that was something that was emerging as a best practice at the time. It still wasn't as commonly used as it is now. The email address was wrong. And the worst thing was there was a lot of time where the contact form would just be this piece of code on the page rather than something that actually people filled in and then it went through to your email address. So it was just a real disaster, like sort of looking at a lot of that stuff. And you look now at like, I guess what you do. I mean, even just the landing page game has changed a lot, because you weren't actually a digital marketer to begin with in your working career, were you? You were a tradesman.
Yeah, so I actually have a trade background myself, which a lot of people who cater to the trade industry, they can't say they have that. I actually used to be a plumber for 5 years. I was on the tools in the trenches fixing toilets for a good 5 years. I had enough of that. So I went into sales, marketing, and operations for 2 major plumbing firms here in New Zealand. And since then, I've started my agency, and it's been running for about 2 years now. And the reason I cater to trades is because I understand the industry and I understand how to get a homeowner from completely not knowing you to contacting you and then giving you money.
How did you find the job of being a plumber? Was it quite physically demanding?
Yes, very physically demanding. The amount of physical effort you have to put in, the money back just wasn't there.
Yeah, and with the work that you were doing and engaging with the people like the homeowners and stuff, what were some of the, I guess, the biggest takeaways that you took out that you sort of made a mental note of later with starting your own agency? Did it help you with creating the copy that you put onto the landing pages, or the videos, or the design for the landing pages?
Absolutely. So the main thing that homeowners want is the job to be done once and to be done right. When they're looking on Google, they're usually looking number one at your Google reviews or whatever reviews you use in the local area. That's number one. Number two, they're looking at your website. Number three, they're looking at specific testimonials, the good ones and the bad ones. They just want to know, if I hire you, are you going to do the job right? And are you going to do it once? Or are you going to screw it up and I'm going to have to get it done again? So what people sometimes misunderstand is not everyone wants the cheaper contractor, especially not the ones that actually have money. If you want the best customers that pay the best price, you need to give them a reason as to why you're the best contractor in the area and why they should pay you the best price.
Exactly. The long-term savings, not the poor man thinking. I think that's a big challenge, because I was talking with a guy on Coromandel FM, Rob Harding. He's got his own show there. He tracked me down because he lives here in Katikati. He asked that question of like, why do a lot of small businesses not want to advertise? And I said, it's because they look at the price of something and they can't comprehend in their own mind what that's going to produce for them in the long run. They just see it as a cost rather than an investment into the well-being of their business. Spending $2,000 to make $20,000. They can't comprehend that a lot of the time. Whereas if you can prove it with a good landing page and a good case study, even better, or a recorded testimonial from someone like you've done a few times with your clients.
Yes.
That's going to establish far more trust in someone's mind than any amount of talking you can ever do. That seems to be the strength of a guy like Russell Brunson or Alex Becker from Hyros. They've got so many success stories of really big names and brands that they can kind of just leverage off of that and just move forward. They're obviously pretty well connected as well, so that helps. But just the sheer fact that they've got those testimonials and backing behind them, that it allows them to sell their product and, they don't have to invest as much. It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
But
on top of that, I actually bought something that was very high ticket myself. And I can tell you now, when I was in that sales call with him, he didn't have to talk. He didn't have to say basically anything. I was convinced. Even if he told me he's a serial killer, I still would have bought his product because it was that good. There was so much conviction from everything that I've seen on his YouTube, his LinkedIn, his Twitter, just everything, the past testimonials, all of that, I was just going to buy no matter what. And this is what tradies can do for themselves. If they have all of these things in place, you will just convert more. You will get more leads in the first place, and your conviction and your conversion rate from lead to closed job is going to be so much higher.
Oh, 100%. And just, I think as well, being able to talk to a person, talking to the different types of homeowners. You've got, you have your people that make quick decisions. And truth be told, because tradies are often busy, if they have good marketing or do a good job consistently or both, they should be busy all the time. So they've got to make pretty quick decisions about how they're prioritizing the schedule and day and that sort of thing. But that's only one type of personality. Then you've got the people that are detail oriented, or the people that are creatives, or the people that just kind of need a bit of a helping hand. That seems to be something which is often overlooked as well when crafting a landing page or crafting ad copy, is you have to have multiple versions of it because different layouts and designs and ad copy speak to people in different ways. If you were targeting a person that had been burned by other tradespeople before, let me put this question to you, Andrei. How would you set up a landing page for that type of person? Like, what would the structure be for you if you were going after people that had been burnt before and your tradie client who's got a 100% success record, 5-star Google rating, and guarantees to do a good job? What would that landing page setup look like to you?
I'd say the first thing you need to do is prove it. In the above the fold section on your phone or on your computer, the first thing you load in and the first thing that the person sees, you better have those reviews all over there. That would be number one. You'd say in the copy, here's all our reviews. This is why we're the best people for the job. And here's all the proof. And if you really want to get that customer, I'd say your best bet is to have video testimonials from clients.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got that one example right there of the people that want to do it at a more personal level. What about testing landing pages overall? What would your suggestions be for someone who is wanting to engage the services of a company that builds landing pages? How many landing pages should there be tested at one point in time, in your opinion?
It depends on the budget. So if you have a smaller budget, you wouldn't be testing 10 landing pages because your budget just doesn't allow for it. So I typically start with one landing page, and then you can assess the results, one, on the advertising platform, whether you're getting conversions or not, but two, there's an app called Microsoft Clarity, and it's actually free, and it's a heat map and recording software, so you can visually see what people are doing, like a live recording. I know it sounds sketchy, but it's legal. I promise you. But you can visually see what people are doing, where they're looking, how far they're scrolling, and then you can make educated decisions on what to do. So if people are only scrolling halfway through most of the time, you can make a pretty safe bet that you need to put something at that halfway mark minimum to keep them scrolling even further, because the whole goal is to keep them engaged for at least a minute minimum, and you want them to scrolling at least 60-70% of the way.
That's so interesting. That sort of technology is available because it really is a game changer, isn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of like being able to decode the psyche of a website visitor coming to your site, because it actually allows you to assess what their exit point is. Because I think that's the most important thing, isn't it? As a landing page creator, is like, what's the exit point? Is it once they filled in the form that I've set up, or the book a call, or whatever it is, or are they just leaving after seeing something? And I had a pretty interesting one a while ago, which was, as you know, the HiAb client that I've got, their exit point was after about 25% of the front page being visited, there was this background picture that was superimposed with like some gray on it. And then there was a picture forward ahead of it. And the moment a lot of people saw that, they were just gone. Most people that converted didn't even scroll down. They just filled in the form and they converted. It was quite amazing to sort of see that response, though. But it was a very real problem. And I'm glad that we were able to address it for him, because it definitely was costing him a lot of business, particularly with the trade-based clients who probably just took one look at it and thought, oh, that's worse than my website. And let's just go. Because that is a problem, isn't it? Like, I mean, a lot of trade companies, sadly, if they have a website, probably about half of them aren't particularly very good at all. And then half of that half is just dreadful websites and landing pages.
Yeah, people often want as many leads as possible, but when you don't put any effort into your website or your social media or even Google reviews at all, how can people trust you? There's a lot of cowboys out there, especially nowadays, that anyone can just become a tradie. And I've actually sat these exams and they're pretty bloody easy. Like any person off the street could do them. If you want people to inquire with you in the first place, and two, if you want those higher paying clients, you need to sell them basically. So your website, you need to think of it as an actual salesperson showing everyone why you're the best contractor in town. And you need a nicely laid out website with lots of photos of you, not just stock photos. And that's how you're going to get the most and the best business, by having a proper landing page or even a website and just showing people why you're the best.
Why do you think tradies earn so much in New Zealand and Australia? Do you think people are just afraid to get their hands dirty? Is that the reason? Or is there some other reason behind it?
It's basic supply and demand. There's not a lot of tradies out there in comparison to the demand, and therefore the price is just naturally higher. There's a lot of online jobs these days that people are trying to take on, online influencers. So all the young people, why would they get their hands dirty if they can become a TikTok influencer?
Oh man, it's such a hard game to master any of those platforms. You can have like certain things and certain videos and have a certain structure that you try, but like ultimately what may work fantastically well for one person may not work well for you when it comes to that stuff. I'm not saying that's the case with the landing pages, but to become a successful YouTube personality or TikTok influencer or something like that, like I think the biggest guy on TikTok is that I think he's an Italian African guy, and he's sort of just like got those faces like these people that are doing these long complicated things of like opening a jar or something like that, and he'll have something where he'll just like put the jar underwater and then open it up and then just point his hand at it, but it's his thing. That's what people recognize him for, and that's something which I think trade-based businesses need to think about too, is just what are you being recognized for? Like, do you have landing pages that are always beautiful and presentable and unique and have got great testimonials up to the top? Or have you got like a really amazing brand design that you can fully utilize into your website and landing pages? Is it you're funny, you speak well on the spot? Some tradies are pretty damn funny, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. They
like,
are.
Some of them have got some great stories. Like, there was this one guy that was like, sort of fixing, I think I stole his idea. He was just like, you wouldn't fix the toilet with an umbrella. And then he was sort of like had the umbrella and then he was like sticking it in the toilet, like unblock the toilet with an umbrella, something like that. And then he had his next one of, you wouldn't try and fix the hot water cylinder by tapping it as hard as you can with your shoe. And then ding, 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 ding with his like, steel cap shoe. Just all those things that he followed, Andrei. I still remember a lot of those things that he did now, just because of the sheer fact that it was just so unusual. It kind of made me chuckle a little bit. It's not like super funny thing, but you kind of just like, what is this guy all about? Like, what's he up to?
Yeah, I actually saw something interesting in Australia. There's a home inspector because Australia is pretty loose with inspections and they let a lot of things slide. So there's a private company that you can hire to actually inspect the house. And this guy posts all his videos on YouTube. They're like an hour, 2 hours long, and you can see the full inspection. And this guy has like 100,000 subscribers or something. And he must get so much business from that, from homeowners seeing how awful and shoddy the building work, and they contact this guy as a result. So what tradies are missing out on is having some sort of social media presence. And when you do, people will naturally just inquire about you, one, and two, if they see your website or landing page, they'll have a look for you on Google and see what else you've got out there. And it really helps, again, with one, getting the lead, and two, your conviction rate, to close these even better.
Yeah, you were talking earlier on about how it's like super hard to pass like some of these like exams to become a qualified tradie. Is there a reason why people decide to turn into like these tradies turning into cowboys with plastic pistols and not doing a proper job? Like, is there a reason or a motivation for that? Are they trying to just squeeze more work into the day, or do they just not have pride in their work? Like, you've worked in the industry for a while. Like, what do you think the reason is behind their decision to do that and not do a good job?
Yeah, there's quite a few things. That's lack of pride. If they're an employee, they're probably not getting paid enough. I'd say pride is probably the biggest thing. Laziness. Don't want to do something if you don't have to. If you can take a shortcut and get it done twice as fast, even though it might leak or break prematurely, so be it.
Have you seen that video of that guy in Australia that I think he does concreting, and the lady didn't pay her fee? So the guy just went with like a pickaxe and just ripped everything up.
Yeah. Can't do that legally, so
I must say, like, I had quite a chuckle that someone could get that frustrated with someone. I mean, I don't even know the context of it. I don't know how late she was to pay or whatever it was, but like, it was just savage to see that.
I've been in the industry for a while, and it does happen. Homeowners don't pay, building contractors don't pay because they go under or they don't have money or whatever the reason is. And it either goes, they don't want to pay because you did a bad job, or they don't want to pay because they just don't want to pay and they don't have the money. Not getting paid as a tradie is definitely a problem. And the best thing you can do is just keep your reputation up there. If you do a good job, people will pay. I've found the best contractors I know that actually do a good job, and I know they do a good job, they don't have any issues with getting paid.
A lot of it's like a symptom of who you attract as a person. If you're someone that's late to pay your bills and doesn't like to, take pride in their work and that sort of thing, like naturally you do tend to attract that kind of customer as well. And it's actually one reason why, if I look at it, like I've stopped doing like these like cheat sheets or sort of like downloads or that sort of thing for paid advertising help, because I found that the caliber of person that I was getting signing up to the email lists and downloading those things were the people that wanted free things a lot of the time. So that's now why I've just got my get a quote form that people have to fill out. It's got a couple of fields, not too hard to fill out, but it's enough to screen people that are tire kickers and people that are a bit of a waste of time. But
that's actually a great tip. I'll tell this to all the tradies out there. If you want the best customers, don't you dare use the word free anywhere on your website, anywhere on the ad copy. Just don't give any hints about affordability or free, because when you do, people are going to expect free. They'll expect you to go to site for free and not pay for it. They'll just expect free things. So remove that right now. That's on your website.
Great piece of advice. Have you heard of these people that charge for quotes, like these traders?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's quite a few companies that charge for quotes, and what they do, because we used to do the same thing. When Auckland flooded 2-3 years ago, we obviously had like 500 inquiries in a day. So what we did to rule out the ones that just wanted a quote is we told them, look, it'll be $200 just for an estimate to go out there and have a look. And we had a lot of serious people, and those ones were actually the best ones that did need a solution and wanted a solution. So what you do is, yes, you charge them for the quote, but you just take it off the final invoice if they decide to go through with the job.
Yeah, and it can even be something like as simple as like a loss leader as well. I'm sort of talking about like in the context of something bigger. You know, what you just referred to there is actually like a really great point. Is sort of deducting it off the invoice because you can assess seriousness of it. You know, like the people that are sitting on the fence, my word, the fence is pretty wide these days. Like, you know, some people fall asleep on the fence and don't wake up for ages. I've seen it,
Yeah.
man. I've got an email list. I was just looking here at my list of people that I've spoken to, tradies in the last year. Andrei, over 200 in the last year have filled in that form. And the conversion rate out of that, I would say, is pretty small. But then again, I've started getting a lot more strict with how I engage with people. And if I feel like someone's just going to be a waste of time, I just say it there and then on the phone.
That's
Not
actually
interested in
one
working
thing
with
that
you.
people don't take into account is someone signs up on the website through the contact form. They don't do anything after that. If you take longer than 5 minutes to get back to someone, or if you miss a call and you don't call back within 5 minutes, the chance of you closing that lead dramatically goes off the cliff. And this is an actual scientific study that we could probably link in the video below. It's true. As soon as you don't contact them within 5 minutes, they've either contacted someone else or they've forgotten, depending on which advertising platform you use. And the best way to overcome this, and not a lot of tradies do it at all, is SMS and email follow-ups straight away. Just let them know, hey, we got your details. Someone will be in touch soon. And then for the emails, you can send them all your testimonials, all your video testimonials, all your Google reviews, your portfolio, just all that sort of thing, just to nurture and warm up the lead to actually get the best chances of closing the deal.
That's some pretty sound advice, and that sort of thing can be automated in many ways as well. Like
Absolutely.
I think I've seen you use it for the ads that you're running at the moment. Don't you have an automated response to people?
Yep. And my show rate at the moment is 90%.
There you go. Sound advice. Have a landing page with an automated follow-up email or SMS or both.
Definitely
Yep.
both. The
Yeah.
amount you pay, sure, it adds up, but the amount you pay for the return you get, that just makes sense.
What do your parents think about what you're doing? Do they think it's quite an interesting career change for you?
My parents always wanted me to go to university, so I guess I disappointed them in that realm. But in terms of generating business that helps other businesses, like, well, our services are very much sought after because we provide value to other people. So it's not like we're running businesses that just take people's money and run. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of agencies out there that do take people's money and just run away and, you know, not take any accountability for the results that they generate. But when you're having an honest service with people and you expect long-term relationships with these guys, it really adds up.
Yeah, it's one reason why, you know, I've never had too much interest in doing like an online course or like an ebook or something like that. I've got a good friend of mine who's really big into that field. Like he does a lot, like he's written an ebook, he's done like an online course, he's doing like a lot of like affiliate marketing and that sort of thing. And like that's all perfectly fine for him because that's the sort of the field that he's in, you know, and he's obviously at a stage where like, you know, it's supporting his fiance, it's probably supporting like other people as well that are helping him with like the video editing and sort of like the content creation and that sort of stuff. At the end of the day, like I really enjoy just working with clients and like, you know, it's for them, you know, because if they win, then like in the long run, you win as well. You know, you want to make sure that you've got those long-term relationships and you really don't want to just be like someone that's just going through the whole churn and burn process. Like I had a client that I signed up recently. They employed a Google Ads agency. I've still got that agency's URL bookmarked on my computer in case I ever hear about someone else that's worked with them that inquires. They spent $6,000, Andrei. That agency did not produce a single Google Ads lead for them. You've seen the website for that company. I showed it to you a while ago. Let's be honest, like it's not the greatest website of all time, but $6,000 would have gotten them at least one lead, I would think.
Yeah. Every account that I have taken over to date, and there's been over, I've probably taken on 50 so far clients, and then I've probably had a look at 100 to 150 people booking in consultations and stuff. And every single one of them, there is something about it that is just not done properly. And often it's quite basic, like fundamental mistakes.
Well, you're thinking about things like, images that can be condensed and compressed. Like even something like that, like, reducing your page load speed time on a mobile device. That sort of thing it's so fundamentally basic, but it's a big factor in website page ranking, but also just having something that's nice and functional. Like, I mean, you wouldn't put together a landing page where all the images are 20 megabytes in size. Like it would just
That
take
just doesn't
forever
work.
to load up.
Yeah, there's that. And, if a client ever came to me and they just didn't have any proper photos to produce a meaningful landing page, I just tell them, you're going to have to take some better photos because you're making this investment. It's not worth it if you don't have the right photos. And I absolutely refuse to use stock photos because when a client sees stock photos, they know it's a stock photo because they've seen it somewhere else before. Everyone is using the same stock photos. So like you've got to really put some effort into taking some photos. It's basic marketing for your business.
Yeah. And all you need is one of these,
Yeah.
you know?
Any iPhone, any Samsung, it'll do the trick.
Exactly. What do you charge for a landing page at the moment, Andre?
It depends, but they typically start at 2,500 US for just one, and the absolute minimum return on investment is easy 250,000
So
minimum.
100x return. That's all
100x
you go
return
for.
minimum. Some clients, if you ran ads at $20,000-$30,000 a month, you're obviously getting 6 figures a month in return on the investment. So when you have this landing page for 2 to 3 years, we're talking millions.
What's your criteria for working with a business? Do they have to be turning over a certain amount, or do they have to be just in the trade industry? Do you work with businesses outside of the trades and service industry?
That's a great question, Stu. So us particularly, we work with trade businesses doing B2C. So any trade businesses doing B2B, we don't typically work with. Another thing that's a bit of a criteria is having employees, contractors that work on their own. Again, they don't really understand having a return on investment when it comes to marketing. And for that reason, we only work with businesses that already have done marketing, or at least they understand it and they're willing to spend the money on advertising. So we typically only work with businesses with employees. Doesn't matter how many, you could have 100. We can still help you build out your funnel, your paid ads, your websites, all your automations to help you get the leads in the first place, but to help you nurture them and get the best closing percentage that you can get.
Awesome. What does your missus think about the work that you're doing? Does she understand it?
She understands a little bit of it.
Most of it just go over the head.
It goes over the head. It's totally new to her. She has a job working for the government at the moment, so she doesn't have like an online job. It's a very physical, in-person type job. It's not online at all.
Yeah, my wife doesn't really understand what I've done. Like, she's edited some of my videos. I try and explain the work that I do. Basically, like, the most simplified way I can say it to her is just like, I work with this client and I run ads for them on Facebook or Google, and they just try to rank for certain keywords, or there's certain interests that they have, and I kind of just leave it there. It's something that, certain people are going to be interested in finding out more, like, and that's why it's nice, connecting with you, because you just pulled me out of the blue one day. You saw one of my ads and just
Sure did.
messaged me, which I thought was quite a smart move, because most people that work in digital marketing often complain about being lonely and not having a good network of people. So I think it's always good to be well connected and established with other agency owners. Coming on to another point, which I wanted to talk about with landing pages, that is, what are the biggest improvements? What's your top 5 list? So if we had 5 things that you were to rattle off right now that someone can do to have and create a winning landing page, what would those 5 things be, Andre?
Testimonials, video testimonials, if you've got them, especially if you do high ticket services like landscaping, building, renovations. Photography, definitely. Faces, so having your face on there. The businesses that I've seen that by far spend the most money compared to some of the clients I have in the bigger cities, they always have faces. And number 5 would be focusing on that first and second section. If you're going to make anything good and worthwhile, it'll be that top section that people load in and the second section. Those are going to be your biggest ones. And then I'll probably add on a number 6, a nice, simple and clean layout. Too many people over design and you use all these crazy animations. Like, it slows down the website for 1, and 2, the homeowner just needs to know that you're the guy for the job. They don't need all these fancy, crazy animations.
I'd add in another thing as well, a good hook.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think if you can ask a question or if you can make a statement that will hold someone's attention to go down to the next section with all of those things that you've just mentioned, the likelihood of that person going on to convert is so much better than if you've just got some bland, we fix toilets, we'll put LED lights in your house. So what? So do 100 other people. But if you say something to the point of get the best LED light leads for your company, bar none, read on to find out more. You'd have to tidy that up a little bit. But
Yeah.
having a starting point like that would be far more likely to move an electrical tradie client down to that next section than we run ads for tradies. Or, come and see how many leads we've generated for XYZ company. No one really cares enough to that point. It needs to be a big statement or a big question that will get them to the next point. Because holding people's attention, man, it's difficult. Like I said, the whole thing of like how wide the fence is and how people are falling asleep on it. Like even just like holding someone's attention, it's like a goldfish. There's so many goldfish attention spans out there, like 7 to 14 seconds, and people are already thinking about the next thing that they want to use to occupy their time and attention. It's hard to really keep that focus. So you kind of have to just get straight to it a lot of the time.
Yeah. To add on to that, psychologically, we cannot ignore questions. So as soon as someone gets asked a question, or at least gets presented with one in front of them, they have to actually think about what the answer is. So when you add a question to your website, people will definitely be drawn in.
The thing that you did, which I think is one of the best hacks ever, is the moving call to action button.
Yes.
So it's not just sitting still. Tell us, why is that so effective? Why is the moving call to action button so effective?
Psychologically, if we go way back to 5,000 years ago or whatever it was, and this is most animals as well, if you've ever hunted before, you'll know this, that when an animal is doing something or when we're doing something, and as soon as we see something change, like whether it's in the distance, you're out in the wild, or on your computer screen, because I do this too, as soon as something changes on your computer screen, like right in your field of vision, you are drawn to it. So as soon as you see something move, you're going to look at it. And that's the whole point. We want to get people looking at the things we want them to look at. We want them looking at get that quote button. We want them looking at call this number now. And when you have moving call to actions, it draws people in for that psychological reason of, it's like it's a predatory sense. You see danger, you need to see it. You need to look out for it.
Interesting. Andrei, you also do paid ads as well for trade businesses. What platform do you find more effective out of Facebook and Google ads?
It depends. If you have something more high ticket, Google is a safer bet, but you can absolutely get some good leads out of Facebook. Depending if people need your service, like for example, if you do drain unblocking, people will not be on Facebook looking for someone to unblock their drains. They need their drains unblocked right now. They're going to be on Google for that. So it depends. But for most businesses, Google is the way to go. But for some, Facebook is the way to go. I actually recently got a client who does restoration. So they do like mold removal and curtain cleaning. Now, I actually used to sell drainage to fix moldy homes and, homes that always get water in them. And what I found is people will tell me, the garage just flooded. It's never flooded before. And you're having a look and you can see all the black mold, all the mildew, all the calcification on the brick walls. It's like, this is a problem that's been going on for a long time, but people don't know because it's something that you've presented a problem in front of them. And now they realize, crap, I need a solution. So a lot of businesses, homeowners have problems. They all have problems. And Facebook is the right platform for pointing out a problem and then offering a solution.
It's also like the headspace that people are in as well. If something, like what you're talking about between Google ads and Facebook ads. Facebook ads, I think, is more of a long-term thing where someone might have looked at, say, their hot water cylinder, for example, and they know at some point in the near future it's going to need replacing. So having ads for hot water cylinder replacement might require a bit more details, like the things that someone needs to look for before it's well and truly gone, or talking about how someone had like a great experience where they realized they saved $500 having to get a new one because they got it checked straight away and noticed that it just needed some bits and pieces fixed up, for example. You know more about this than I do. I'm just talking into thin air here. I don't have a practical bone in my body, Andre. I really don't. It's something that'll be a problem in the future or near future versus Google Ads. I think there's a very high sense of urgency, and people are always in the headspace to buy when they are doing a Google search for emergency plumber near me, emergency electrician near me, hot water cylinder repair, LED lighting installation near me. Like that sort of thing is like, it can be very regionally focused, and people are in a very quick decision to move. And surprisingly, even in big cities, a lot of people still like working with someone that's reasonably close to them as well. And have you found that to be the case with Google Ads with the people that you're working? Like, do you find that there's a certain perimeter that you can target people in before the inquiry starts to really drop off on the outer edges?
I'd say it depends. I've definitely found it for the lower ticket stuff like plumbers, electricians, and all that. But for something more high ticket like builders and landscapers, they don't mind getting someone a little further away if they think it's going to be worth it.
So what sort of price point do you find that normally is?
I'd say anything above 5 or 10,000 is probably the mark.
Yeah. When you onboard a client to run their paid ads, is there like a minimum requirement for ad spend that they have to be spending for you to consider working with them?
Yeah, I'd say minimum is 10x the average cost per click. So if you look up your main keyword, let's just say it's bathroom remodeling, and in your city it's $20 for top of page bids, so you're at the top position on Google, there's a minimum of 10 times that, so $200 a day. With that $200 a day, we can sort of guarantee, we'll get at least one conversion a day with 10 clicks, and that's sort of the minimum to get the best return on investment.
So looking at like a sort of like a minimum level, you're sort of talking about the $3,000 to $4,000 per month mark.
I'd say so. You can definitely do less, but the amount of results we try to generate is a little more significant than just a couple dozen a month.
Yeah. Why do you think tradies are so hesitant about running paid ads? It seems like there's a real, almost a phobia of it. Like, you got some sort of huntsman spider on your shoulder or something, that this is like paid ads. Oh, $3,000 a month. Sheesh.
I have the best answer to this, and that is every single client that I have onboarded, they have had a bad experience in the past, and therefore they avoid it like the plague. So they don't want to work with digital marketing guys. As soon as they get a cold call from one, they tell them to bugger off. And yeah, they've just had a bad experience in the past by someone who either didn't know what they were doing or they didn't understand the industry, and that's why they don't want to engage with a marketing agency. Or they've tried it before, they didn't necessarily have the right strategy in place, and that's why it didn't work. So that's another reason why they don't want to go through with it. Yeah. People don't do things that they know won't work.
For some as well, like, those people that tend to be more social, just the amount of work that they can get out of word of mouth and referrals also can't be underestimated as well. And it only seems to be in like tough economic times when the opportunities start to dry up where they begin to entertain that option of running paid ads, but they still kind of almost feel more comfortable just running back to the default of calling people up and getting work that way. I had a little poll that I put together on how many of the tradies I've talked to in the last year and a half, 2 years, have no online presence or a very minimal one. And it's like 28% didn't have a Google business profile, didn't have a Facebook page, didn't have a website. Out of all the people I talked to, over 200 of them, 28%. And that's
it's shocking.
That's quite a crazy thing to think about. Like, if that 28% had so much as a Google business profile and a basic one-page website, even just with their business card, for goodness sake, like some catty businesses here have, that in itself can really move the needle for them in ways that they can't imagine. Just the fact that Google business profile, for example, rewards location. So, if you were to do a Google search right now, Andre, for plumber, caddy, electrician, caddy, plasterer, caddy, concrete company, Caddy Caddy. Do you know how many of those spots on Google Business Profile are occupied by out-of-town businesses?
Probably all of them.
Almost every single search. There's so many out-of-town businesses here that just laugh at Caddy Caddy businesses because they are not taking themselves online. And it's not revolutionary stuff that they need to do. If they engage your services to get a good website, for example, or a landing page website, if they engage your services to run their paid ads, you don't even need to do like conversion-based objective. You could pretty much run on target search impression share. 100% top of the page, absolute. That sort of thing on a reasonable, modest budget could absolutely ruin any chance of out-of-town business taking work away from you. And it's such an unfortunate thing that small town businesses don't factor that in the way that city businesses do. Like, we obviously live in very different environments. Like, you're in a larger city and I'm in a smaller town, but I can see the value of thinking like a city business in a small town. If you can have that same type of mentality and hunger and desire to dominate your online space, mate, there's no ways those other businesses are going to come close to you. And is that something that you always try to maintain, even though you haven't been in the trade industry for a while now? Do you still have that hunger and that fire to sort of absolutely dominate the industries which your clients are operating in?
Those are the clients that I like the best, the ones that want to continue growing and figuring out ways to get more attention. And that's probably the thing that trade businesses suffer from the most, is just not getting enough attention. You know what I mean? They don't actively go out of their way to get more attention, whereas attention is the most valuable resource out there. If you get people's attention, you have eyeballs on you, people are going to inquire with you, and they're going to get work done with you.
Yeah. Well, a good example of that is that lady, Suzanne Paul. She used to be on the TV Shop. Do you remember her? She used to sell radiessence. She did this interview one time where she was talking about how she would set up being at a mall. And she would not say, do you want to come and try this? She would say something more direct of, excuse me, can you just come here for a second? And that lead in, that change, just making a simple request, someone almost feels like obligated to just go in and see exactly what it is that she's doing. And then she gets the ladies with the sort of radiessence makeup and all that stuff. And then she'll sell it to them because they love it so much. And boom, that's a sale. So rather than saying, do you want to? Most people will kind of default with that sort of situation and say, oh, no, I'm fine, thanks. No, thank you. Whereas if they say, can you just come over here for a second? It immediately changes that initial contact point, and they're far more likely to go through with it. And that's the big secret with like the landing pages and the websites. People, if you give them a reason to leave, they will.
Yes.
If you give them an opportunity for them to keep staying engaged and keep their attention, it's very unlikely they won't follow through and complete it if they really want it. Because I think something as well that we've had plenty of chats on, a lot of these businesses think they want it, but they don't really. I want to get more leads. I want to get more sales. I want to be more busy. I want to hire people. I was talking to a guy down in the Manawatu region in November last year. Oh, I'd love to grow to a team of 3. I'd love to have three trucks on the road, 3 vans. Well, I called him up 6 weeks later, and you know what he said?
What?
He said, oh, I still haven't even had a chance to go through the proposal yet. I can call you in the new year. Well, obviously it's going to take a while for those 3 vans to get on the road. Then you got some other people as well. Like, I went to military school with this one guy who runs a company now, and he's got quite a few people that work with him. I'll share a link with you to his website once we've finished this chat. But I'll give you his first name. His name's Scott.
Oh, yeah.
And when I went to military school with this guy, Andrei, like, I never in my life would have thought this guy would not only become a business owner, but employ all these people, because this guy ran his mouth a lot. He annoyed a lot of other recruits at the military school, struggled to get on with people, found a way to annoy the tutors. So that often got him in trouble. But here he is now, having established this successful company, and he's really doing exceptionally well for himself. Part of the reason why I think he's done so well for himself is because he's gone into a trade which was his strength. Clearly he's good at it, but I think he's had to reinvent himself as well. Now, when you are taking a shoddy landing page and having to reinvent it, do you ask the clients questions, or do you just tell them I am going to do this for you, and this is what I think will help you get more leads, and that's the end of it. What's that process like in terms of reinventing?
I normally ask them what are their main selling points, what reviews do you have, what services do you provide, why should homeowners choose you over someone else? And then I basically take that information and produce something that's going to actually convert a lot better. So I don't usually tell them that it's wrong, but I do tell them, this is what I'm going to do, but I'm going to use all of your business assets and reasons why people should choose you, and I'm going to create something fantastic.
Interesting. Andrei, we are running out of time today. Wanted to say thanks so much for coming on the channel. It's great to have you as a guest. It's been a long time coming. Any final comments or remarks?
No, just that if you're a trade business and you want some help with landing pages or paid advertising, you can book a call with my company below. And yeah, we'll sort you out.
Magical. Thanks so much for your time, Andrei. We'll talk soon.
Thank you very much, Stuart. See you later.
Cheers.